Very good morning to all of you, my friends. Welcome back. I hope you guys have revised what I have discussed in the previous session relating to material cost variances. Further, I hope you guys were able to solve the questions relating to material variances. If you guys have any doubts or queries, you guys can please post your doubts and queries. Further, Mr. Sushil Kumar, very good morning, first of all. Now, material mix variance, I'll be discussing the labor variances, wherein I'll discuss how to calculate the mix and all. So I think the concepts are more or less same to material. So I'll be covering this part with labor variances. Anyone else having any doubts in material variances, you guys can please post your queries. When talking about material variance, we discussed material cost variance. Thereafter, material price variance, material usage variance, mix variance, and yield variance. Very good morning, sweetie. So these are the variances what I have discussed in the previous session. So without wasting time now, let's proceed further with the remaining part of the chapter, wherein we'll be investigating the labor department, fixed overhead department, and variable overhead department. Very good morning, Khushi. So let's start with labor variance. The concept of material and labor variances are more or less same. It's only the change, there is change in name. So let me discuss this part with the help of an example. So to manufacture a particular product, three types of labors are required by the company: skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled. Skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled. When talking about the hours required to manufacture 1 unit of product, it's 2 hours for skilled, 3 hours for semi-skilled, and 5 hours of unskilled. So in aggregate, total 10 hours are required to manufacture 1 unit of product. To manufacture 1 unit of product, total 10 hours are required. Of this, 2 of skilled, 3 of semi-skilled, and 5 of unskilled. When talking about their wages, the wages rate is given, that is 5, 3, and 2. So this is what the budgeted data is given. This is what the budgeted data is given. When talking about the actual output, this data is for 1 unit of output. Now, when talking about the actual data, total 5,000 units were manufactured. When talking about actual data, actually total 5,000 units were manufactured. Of this, the skilled worked for 9,000 hours. Semi-skilled work for 17,000 hours. And unskilled labor worked for 30,000 hours. Total hours worked were 56,000 to manufacture 5,000 units. When talking about the wages actually paid, it's 7, 2.75, and 1.5. So this will be 63,000. So this much information is given in the question. Now herein, my question is again the same. Are these two figures comparable? Yes or no? So the answer is no. Reason being, again, just like material, in case of labor also, the basis of comparison is output. So when talking about labor also, the concept is same. When talking about the basis of comparison, it is actually the output. So if you want to compare the figures, to calculate the variances, their output should be the same. So here in this budgeted data is given for 1 unit, actual data is given for 5,000 units. So we have to prepare revised standard. In short, this 1 unit data will be converted into 5,000 units data. So 1 unit required 2 hours. So 5,000 units will require 10,000 hours. Just like 1 unit, 2 hours. So 2 hours, 1 unit. So 5,000 units, how many hours? 10,000 hours. 3 hours, 1 unit. So for 5,000 units, how many hours? 15,000 hours. Similarly, 1 unit, 5 hours. So 5,000 units, 25,000 hours. The rate is 5, 3, and 2. So the cost will be 50,000, 45,000, and 50,000. Total, it will be 50,000 hours. And the cost was supposed to be 1,45,000. So now my master chart is ready, just like material. Till now, if you guys have any doubts, you guys can please post your queries. Good morning, Mr. Muhammad. Good morning, Khushi. Good morning, Komal. Good morning, Kiran Shukla. I need to check, Kiran Shukla, that May RTP question. Let me check first. Very good morning, Mr. Mallu. So now, just like my material part, my labor chart is ready now. So now, in material, first we used to calculate the material cost variance. So here in labor also, similar approach. We will first calculate the labor cost variance. Similarly, the same approach. The total cost was 5,000 unit, was supposed to be 1,45,000. However, we actually incurred, to manufacture this 5,000 units, we actually incurred 1,54,750. That is 9,750 extra. Alternatively, we can say for skilled 10,000 hours were supposed to work at the rate 5. However, we work for 9,000 hours and we paid at the rate 7. For unskilled, again 15,000 at the rate 3. However, we work for 17,000 hours, the wages paid is 2.75. And in the same way for unskilled. So I'm writing this for your reference also. $10,000 at the rate 5, but we paid for 9,000 hours at the rate 7. Similarly, for semi-skilled, 15,000 hours we were supposed to pay at the rate 3. However, we paid for 17,000 hours at the rate 2.75. 25,000 hours we were supposed to work at the rate 2 rupees. However, we worked for 30,000 hours at the rate 1.5. So this is 5,000 favorable. This is 13,000 adverse. And this will be 1750 adverse. The total will be 9750. That is 13,000 plus 1750 minus 5,000. So this is how the labor, this is how this labor cost variance will be calculated, wherein just like material cost variance we discussed, that is my budgeted cost minus actual cost for 5,000 units. Now, in material, what we used to do here, material price and material usage. So here, instead of price, the same approach we will use the rate variance. So in material, we calculated material price variance. However, in case of labor, we will calculate labor rate variance. In labor, we will calculate labor variance, rate variance, just like material. That is the rate we were supposed to pay minus the rate actually paid into the actual hours worked. I have already discussed that why actual quantity. So again, the concepts are same, just what I have discussed in the previous session relating to material variance. So I will not be discussing these concepts again and again. Just think that if it is the question of material, how you will approach, very simple. That is the price minus this actual price into actual quantity. So herein, when talking about the labor rate variance also, the rate we were supposed to pay is 5. The rate actually paid is 7 into actual hours, that is 9,000. Similarly, 3 minus 2.75 into 17,000. So this will be 18,000 adverse. This will be 4250 favorable. So this will be 1250 favorable. So just like material price variance, we will calculate the labor rate variance also. So if you guys have any doubts, you guys can please post your queries. Good morning, Mr. Vijay Raghavan. Good to see you. Good morning, Preeti. If you guys have any doubts in labor rate variance, you guys can please post your queries. Mr. Sahu, good morning. So just like material price variance, we will calculate labor rate variance also the same way. Standard price minus actual price into actual quantity. So here in standard rate minus actual rate into actual hours. Now, why I have taken actual hours, I hope you guys are thorough with this part because I have covered this part in detail in the previous session. Again, there are no formulas in standard costing. The point is you have to simply memorize the concept. Once you are thorough with the concept, you can solve any type of question. Now, when talking about this part, we used to calculate material usage variance. That is the quantity we were supposed to use minus the quantity actually used into the standard price. This is what we used to do in material usage variance. So here, instead of usage, we will write it as labor time variance or efficiency variance. We'll write here as labor time or efficiency variance. Again, we will solve the question in the similar way, wherein the time we were supposed to work is for 10,000 hours. We work for 9,000 hours only, into the rate is 5. So this will be 5,000 favorable. Again, in the second case, the time we were supposed to work is 15,000. We worked for 17,000 into 3. So this will be 6,000 adverse. And the last 25,000 hours we were supposed to work, but we worked for 30,000 hours into the rate that is 2. So this will be 10,000 adverse. The net will be 11,000 adverse. 11,000 adverse minus 1,250 favorable. This will be 9,750 adverse. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your queries. We used to calculate material mix and material yield. So similarly, again, in case of labor also, we will calculate labor mix and labor yield variance. So labor again the same concept. My actual hours worked were 56,000. My actual hours worked were 56,000. It should be in the ratio of 2:3:5. My actual hours 56,000 should be in the ratio of 2:3:5. See, 56,000 is my actual hours. It should be in the ratio of 2:3:5. So very simple. 56,000 into 2/10. 56,000 into 3/10 and 56,000 into 5/10. We'll get the labor mix. So this will be 11,200. This will be 16,800. This will be 28,000. So my actual total hours should be in the ratio of 2:3:5. Again, I'm not discussing anything new. This is what I have discussed for 2.5 hours in the previous session. So again, I repeat, 56,000 should be in the ratio of 2:3:5. So accordingly, I'll get my mix as 11,200, 16,800, and 28,000. This should be my mix. However, for 56,000, my actual mix is 9,000, 17,000, and 30,000 into the standard rate, that is 5, 3, and 2. So this is the way the labor mix variance will be calculated. So Mr. Sushil, if you have any doubts, you can please post your query. Mr. Sushil Kumar Bari, if you have any query, you please post your query. This is the way the mix is calculated. That is, if it is material, then the actual total input in the standard ratio. If it is labor, then in case of the actual total hours into the standard ratio. Yes, Sushil, waiting for your query, my dear. Good morning, Mr. Mohammed Abdan. Waiting for your queries. Sushil, any doubts? Waiting for your reply, Sushil. Any doubts? Anyone else having any doubts or queries can please. So now moving towards the last part, very simple. That is just like material yield, we will calculate labor. We can call it as yield also, efficiency also, sub-efficiency also. If we name this variance as efficiency, then it will be sub-efficiency. Or else if we are naming this variance as labor time variance, then it can be efficiency or yield also. So now, very simple guys, these 5,000 units should be manufactured in aggregate 50,000 hours. The work was supposed to be completed in 50,000 hours, but we actually took 56,000 hours. That is 6,000 hours extra we worked. So it shows our inefficiency into the weighted average rate, that is 1,45,000 divided by 50,000. So this will be 17,400 adverse. . So this is the way these labor variances will be calculated. Yes, Sushil, standard mix minus actual hours into standard rate. Again, I repeat, when talking about mix variance, very simple, Sushil, क्या mix होना चाहिए था? See, let's say you are preparing tea. आप घर पे चाय बना रहे हैं. Your mom advised you that the milk and water ratio should be 60:40. I mean 60% milk and 40% water. So the ratio should be in the ratio of 60:40. 40. You did a smart work and you changed the ratio from 70:30. That is 70% milk and 30% water. So the difference in overall usage due to change in mix is what we call as the mix variance. That is the labor mix variance or material mix variance. So I'm done with the solution part. I'm giving you 4 to 5 minutes time to copy the solution. I request you guys to copy the solution. Again, try. The key is when talking about material and labor, the key is prepare this master chart. First prepare, write the budget and then actual. Now check if their output is same, no need to prepare revised standard. अगर budget और actual का output same है, no need to prepare revised standard. But if it is different, see here in my output is 1 unit and my actual output is 5,000 units. So it's not same. So we are preparing revised budget. So the first and the important part in case of material and labor is that prepare this master chart. Once this chart is ready, you can solve any question, any type of questions. So giving you 3 to 4 minutes time to please copy to copy this explanation. Welcome, Mr. Sushil Kumar. So now when talking about the formulas that are given in study material, very simple. When talking about labor cost, कितना cost लगना चाहिए था? 10,000 into 5 minus 9,000 into 7. Similarly for semi-skilled and unskilled. So again, there are no formulas as I said, it's only the concept. So herein when talking about the formula that is given in study material, it is standard hours into standard rate minus actual hour into actual rate. When talking about rate variance, very simple. The rate we were supposed to pay minus the actual rate of wages into the actual hours paid. When talking about the labor time or efficiency variance, that is standard hours minus actual hours, the time we were supposed to work minus the hours actually we worked into the standard rate. When talking about mix also, it is standard mix minus actual hour into standard rate. That in simple, standard mix is what? This should be the mix minus the actual hours, that is the actual mix into the standard rate. When talking about labor yield variance, there is a formula that is given, that is standard hours minus standard mix into standard. So these are the formulas that are given in the study material. Further, for verification also, we can say that I'm erasing this part. You can frame formulas, Sushil. You can write total revised standard hours minus total actual hours into weighted average standard rate, weighted average standard rate. Anyways, for verification also, we can say the labor cost variance is equals to labor rate variance plus labor time variance. For labor time variance also, we can say it is labor mix variance plus labor yield variance. I request you guys to please copy these formulas and this verification part. Wait, madam, it will be done. Don't worry. I'm coming to the idle time variance only. Don't worry, Preeti. Now, in the same question, let's take a situation wherein idle hours are also given in the question. Let's take a situation wherein idle hours are also given in the question. For skilled, for semi-skilled, and for unskilled. Let's say idle hours are given, that is 500, 400, and 100. So total 1000 idle hours are there. So now, when talking about the calculation of hours pay, actually hours worked, these are the hours given, these are actually the hours paid. So we will first calculate the hours actually worked. Actual hours worked. See, these are the hours paid, not the hours worked. These are the hours paid now. Since idle hours are given in the question, so there are two terms that we will be using, that is hours worked and hours paid. See, for idle hours also we need to pay to the labor. So that's why we will be using two terms, hours paid. These are the hours actually paid. But yes, after deducting the idle hours, we will get the hours worked. So here in 9,000 minus 500, the hours actually worked by the skilled workforce is 8,500. For semi-skilled, it is 16,600. And for unskilled, it is 29,900. So the total will be 56,000 minus 1,000, that is 55. Now the point is how to deal with this part. If idle hours are given in the question, what will be the change in the solution? So now again, the same way when talking about the labor cost variance, there will be no change. It will remain same. That is 1,45,000 minus 154, 750. That is 9,750. Again, there will be no change in labor rate variance also. Again, it will be same. Why I am discussing this part separately? Again, why I am calculating all the variances? Just for revision and better understanding of the concept. So if if I am solving this question again, it will help you to memorize that what I have discussed 10 minutes back. So herein, when talking about the labor rate variance also, again, it will be the same. That is 5 minus 7 into 9,000. 3 minus 2.75 into 17,000 and 2 minus 1.5 into 30,000. So this will be 15,000 favorable. This will be 18,000 adverse. And this will be, I think, 4,250 favorable. This will be 4,250 favorable. So this will be 1,250 favorable. Again, when talking about the labor time variance also, there will be no change. There will be no change in labor time variance also. That is the hour we were supposed to work, that is 10,000. The hours we actually work, that is 9,000 into my standard rate, that is 5. So this is 5,000 favorable. Similarly, the second part, 15,000 minus 17,000 into 3, that is 6,000 adverse. So till now, there will be no change. That is, there will be no change in cost, rate, and time. Now, very important part. Now herein we will first calculate the labor idle time variance, then mix and then yield. So here we will first calculate the labor idle time variance. My idle hours are 500, 400 and 100 into my rate, that is 5, 3 and 2. So this will be 2500 adverse. This variance will always be adverse. 1200 adverse and 200 adverse. So this will be 3900 adverse. If you guys have any doubts till now, you guys can please post your queries. Now, very important, guys. There will be a change in mix and yield variance. Now, see, when talking about the difference in overall time, we considered these figures and these figures. That is the difference between 50 and 56,000. That is, there is a total difference of 6,000. Now, out of this 6,000, 1,000 is already considered here separately. I repeat again, from the overall difference of 6,000, we have already considered the difference of 1,000 hours separately in idle time variance. So now we are left out with the difference of only 5,000. When talking about individually also, see, there is a difference of 25,000 to 30,000 hours. That is 5,000 hours. There is a difference of 5,000 hours. Now, out of these difference of 5,000 hours, 100 hours are already considered here separately. So we are left out with only a difference of 4,900 hours. So my point is, for calculating labor mix variance, we will not be considering the hours paid, but we will be considering the hours worked. Because hours paid minus hours worked is idle time, and we have already considered this idle time variance separately. So from now and onwards, hours worked will be important rather than hours paid. So herein, when talking about labor mix variance, we will be using the total hours worked, that is the 55,000. It should be in the ratio of 2:3:5. So 55,000 should be in the ratio of 2:3:5. That is 11,000. This will be 16,500. And this will be 27,500. Minus the actual mix, that is 8,500, 16,600 and 29,900. So this part is the major difference if idle hours are given in the question. So into 5, into 3 and into 2. So this will be 300 adverse. This will be 4,800 adverse. This will be 12,500 favorable. So you'll get 7,400 favorable. Now, here we will calculate labor yield variance. In the same way, this work was supposed to be completed in 50,000 hours. Now it is completed in 55,000 hours. See, the difference is of 6,000, wherein 1,000 we have considered here separately. So we are left out with the difference of only 5,000 hours. So the work was supposed to be completed in 50,000 hours. We worked for 55,000 hours. So 5,000 hours extra is our inefficiency into the weighted average rate, that is 1,45,000 divided by 50,000. So this will be 14,500. So this is how the question will be solved if idle time is given in the question. Again, for verification also, labor idle time plus mix plus yield will be labor time variance. So this is one of the approach what we can use while solving the question. Now one more point. These 1,000 hours are eliminated here. Alternatively, we can place this idle time variance here also. So it's up to you, but whatever the easiest, I mean, whatever I felt, I have used the approach. But yes, alternatively, idle time variance you can place here. The once idle time variance is placed here, the time variance will change, mix will change, and yield will change. So if you guys have any doubts or queries, you guys can please post your queries. Waiting for your queries now. I request you guys to copy the solution. Giving you 3 to 4 minutes time to copy the solution. Okay, so there is a query from Kiran Bala sir, how we got 11,000 labor mix variance in A. So Kiran, 11,000, no? I'm just showing the calculation here separately. See, 55,000 should be in the ratio of 2:3:5. 50,000 should be in the ratio of 2:3:5. So this will be 55,000 into 2 by 10, we will get 11,000. Similarly, 55,000 into 3 by 10, we will get 16,500. And 55,000 into 5 by 10, we will get 27,500. So this is how I calculated this part. So this is for your reference, Kiran. 55,000 is distributed in the ratio of 2:3:5. So 55,000 into 2 by 10, 55,000 into 3 by 10, and 55,000 into 5 by 10. I hope your query is resolved, Kiran. So now we are done with material and labor variance, wherein the concepts are more or less same. It's only the change in name, that instead of material cost, it is labor cost, material price and labor rate, material usage and labor time, material mix and labor mix, and further material yield or labor sub efficiency, or we can say labor efficiency. So these are the variances what I have discussed in material and labor part. Again, very important thing in both these concepts, that is material and labor variances, the basis of comparison is output. That is, your output should be the same. Very important. कई बार students को confusion होता है कि sir, here why you are preparing revised standard, here why you are not preparing revised standard. कुछ question में revised standard prepare किया है, कुछ question में नहीं भी किया है. So here the key is first check the output. आपको सबसे पहले क्या check करना है? Output check करना है. If the output is same, no need to prepare revised standard. But yes, if there is any change in output also, let's say the budgeted data is given for 10 units of output and actual data is given for 12 units of output. In this case also, we have to prepare revised standard. But one more point, if the question is silent about output, that is, these are the budgeted data given, these are the actual data given, no information is given as regards output. That is, the inputs are given, but no information is given as regards normal loss, or straight away the output data is not given in the question, then we will assume that the output is same. So अगर question silent है, output के related कुछ भी नहीं दिया है, तो we will assume that the output is same and no need to prepare revised standard. So सबसे पहला mistake जो exams में होता है, वो इस चीज का होता है कि when to prepare revised standard. So the key is first check the output. If the output is same, no need to prepare revised standard. But yes, if there is any change in output, that is the budgeted output and actual output are not same, then yes, you have to prepare revised standard. So this is the first stage. So once this master chart is ready, you'll be able to solve any question. How to present in exams? See now, these concepts what I have discussed is to make you learn and understand the concept, plus you can make your own formulas. So now how to approach the questions that are given in exam? So very simple, write labor cost variance, the formula. Now after memorizing the concept, you can easily frame formulas. So labor cost variance, the formula and the calculation, labor rate, the formula and the calculation. So this is the way you have to present it in exams. So anyone else? I'm done with material and labor variances. Now I'll be discussing fixed and variable overhead variances. So if you have any doubts, you can post your queries. Else I'll go for a break for 10-15 minutes and then we will start with the fixed overhead part. So still giving you 2 minutes time. Those who have queries by whatever it is, you guys can please post. Unnikrishnan, can you be please more clear and precise what you are asking? Idle time paid with actual rate? No, sir. I'm not getting what you are asking, Mr. Unnikrishnan. Preeti Ketan, any doubts? Sushil Kumar Barik. Admin sir, can you please unmute Mr. Santosh K. Sahu? Mr. Santosh, tell me how can I help you? I'm not getting what you are asking, Mr. Santosh.
Sir, because I'm joining you late and there was an internet
आपकी
problem.
आवाज बराबर नहीं आ रही है संतोष. आप माइक
Sir,
एकदम पास में रख के बात कीजिए.
I joined you, sir, late. That is why I could not understand thoroughly what you
अच्छा,
say
आपने लेट
today.
ज्वाइन किया क्या संतोष?
Yeah.
I'm really sorry,
So I could
Santosh,
not
because
understand.
it's like, uh, anyway, Santosh, what you can check is you can check my previously recorded session. I have covered these concepts in detail. But again, when talking about the concept, it just seems like material, wherein when talking about the calculation of standard hours, very simple. One unit require 2 hours. So for 5,000, how many hours are required? 10,000. So the concept is more or less like material only.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Manish sir, let's go for a break of 15 minutes. I'll be back after 15 minutes with the remaining part. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. 1 second, guys. Welcome back, guys. So now we are done with material and labor variances. Now let's proceed further with the remaining part, wherein we'll be discussing fixed and variable overhead variances. So now let's start with the overhead variances. I'll be discussing this concept with the help of an example. So in more or less in every question, the data will be given in this format. However, if it is not given in this format, I still suggest you to convert this data into this format. So herein, when talking about budget and actual data is given, the days are given, that is 25 and 26. Hours are given, budgeted hours are 30,000 and 33,000. Budgeted units and actual units are also given, that is 30,000 and 32,500. Further fixed overheads are given. Fixed overheads are given, that is 45,000 and 50,000. So if in question the data is straight away given in this tabular format, then yes, no worries. But if the data is, if it is the language is given or data is given in a paragraph, then try to convert it into this format. Try to convert data into this format. Now, let's start with the solution part. The first variance what we calculate is the fixed overhead cost variance. When talking about fixed overhead cost variance, it talks about under or over absorption of overhead. अगर आप लोगों ने overheads पढ़ा है तो you must be knowing that how to calculate the absorption rate and how to charge the absorption rate to calculate the absorbed overheads, and then then we compare these absorbed overheads with actual overheads to get under or over absorption of overhead. So when talking about fixed overhead cost variance, it talks about under or over absorption of overhead. So what we do generally, in simple terms, 45,000 are the fixed overhead for 30,000 units. It means absorption rate is how much? 1.5. Now, if we apply this absorption rate to actual unit, we will get the absorbed overheads. And after getting the absorbed overheads, we will compare it with actual overheads to get under or over absorption of overhead. For better understanding, you guys can refer my previous sessions on overhead. You will get the better and clear understanding of the concept of under and over absorption. So very simple, guys. When talking about fixed overhead cost variance, 45,000 are my budgeted overheads. This is for 30,000 units. So for actual 32,500 units, how much it should be? $48,750. wherein these are what my absorbed overheads. These are my absorbed overheads minus actual overheads. So my actual overheads are 50,000. So 1250 adverse. Or we can say it is under absorption of overhead. This is what we call as the under absorption of overhead. So very simple. ज्यादा टेक्निकलिटी पे नहीं जाते, एकदम अगर सीधी और आसान भाषा में समझने जाए तो वेरी सिंपल. 45,000 ओवरहेड्स फॉर 30,000 यूनिट्स. सो 32,500 पे कितना खर्चा होना चाहिए था? 48,750. बट फॉर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग दीज 32,500 यूनिट्स कितना खर्च हुआ? 50,000. So 1,250 extra, we call it as under absorption in our language. But yes, 1,250 extra, so we call it as adverse. If you guys have any doubts in this part, that is fixed overhead cost variance, you guys can please post your queries. Now, next is fixed overhead expenditure variance. See, fixed overhead remain constant at all the level of production. So when talking about the expenditure variance, we will simply calculate that how much we were supposed to spend, 45,000. But how much we actually spend? 50,000. So how much extra we spend? 5,000. So that's why it is 5,000 adverse. So this is all what about fixed overhead expenditure variance. Very simple. That is my budgeted fixed overheads are 45,000 and my actual fixed overheads are 50,000. So how much extra overheads we incurred? 5,000. So it is adverse for the company. Now next is fixed overhead volume variance. When talking about volume, it talks about the units. When talking about the volume, it talks about the units. Now see, very simple. How much units we were supposed to manufacture? How many units we were supposed to manufacture? 30,000 units. We set up a target that we will manufacture 30,000 units. But the units we actually manufactured is how much? 32,500. So how many extra units we manufactured? 2,500 units. Since we are considering the volume variance, so again we have to, we have to present these variance in monetary terms. So 2,500 extra units we manufactured into my standard rate. That is the standard rate. Since these are the units, so we'll be taking the rate per unit. So 45,000 are my overheads divided by 30,000 units. We will get the standard rate per unit, that is 1.5 per unit. How come 1.5? 45,000 rupees divided by 30,000. So when talking about volume variance, the name itself says volume. Volume means units. So we set up a target that we will manufacture 30,000 units. However, we actually manufactured 32,500 units, 2,500 units extra we manufactured. So it's a good sign for the company. That's why this variance will be favorable. That is 3750. So we are done with fixed overhead cost, expenditure, and volume. If you have any doubts, you can please post your queries. Mr. Unnikrishnan, the difference between the actual rate and standard rate is already covered in labor rate variance. So the loss due to idle time is actually reported in idle time variance. That's why I'm taking the standard rate. If you take the actual rate, it means what you are considering the work done by the HR agency who is actually hiring these workforces. So idle time variance is a separate thing. That is how much is the loss due to, loss in, how much is the loss due to idle hours. That's why. So now we are done with volume variance. Now, further it can be divided in three parts. This change in volume can be due to inefficiency, it can be due to change in hours worked, or it can be due to change in the number of days we work. So let's figure out that why this loss of it's showing favorable 3750. So herein we will first calculate fixed overhead. Calendar variance. So when talking about calendar, it talks about days. When talking about calendar, it talks about the number of days we work. So very important, guys. Please pay attention. Very simple, guys. See, the company has set up a target to work for 25 days. The company has set up a target that they will work for 25 days. However, my worker did a great job and they actually worked for 26 days. That is 1 day extra they work over and above the target. So it's a very good sign for the company. That is they work 1 day extra. I'm not talking about efficiency or inefficiency. I'll be considering efficiency and inefficiency separately. But when talking about randomly about the number of days, the company set up a target that my workers will work for 25 days in a month, but my workers did a great job. They actually work for 26 days in a month. That is 1 day extra they work. So when talking about the number of days, we were supposed to work for 25 days, but we actually work for 26 days. That is 1 day extra we work. Herein, since it is units, so we have taken the rate per unit. Since here it is the number of days, so we'll be calculating the rate per day. So 45,000 is my standard overheads minus the number of days, that is 25 days. So you'll get the rate per day. That is 1800. So very important, this 1800 will be favorable. This 1800 will be favorable. The reason being, see, in fixed overhead, the major concern is that whether the variance will be adverse or favorable. So herein, just think practically that we were instructed to work for 25 days in a month, but we actually work for 26 days in a month. 1 day extra we work. So this variance will be favorable. Now let's proceed further. We are done with the calculation of days. Now, these change in units can be due to change in days, change in hours, and efficiency or inefficiency. So we are done with the days. Now let's talk about hours. So fixed overhead, capacity variance. It talks about hours. Now, when talking about straight away, if the days are same, that is, if it is budgetary days is also 25, actual days is also 25. So we can say that when talking about hours, we have the capacity to work for 30,000 hours, but we work for 33,000 hours. I repeat again, when talking about if the number of days are same, we can simply say कि हमारी कैपेसिटी थी 30,000 आवर्स काम करने की, हमने अपनी कैपेसिटी से ज्यादा काम किया, that is 33,000 hours. So we can say if the days are same, but herein See, we have worked for 30,000. We were instructed to work for 30,000 hours in 25 days. But we worked for 33,000 hours in 26 days. So here in hours to badega hi because the days are more. So to make it comparable, we will convert this 25 days data into 26 days, and then we will compare that whether we worked above our capacity or we worked below our capacity. So in simple terms, see, instead of writing the solution directly, I'm writing the explanation also, that while revise, you will understand that why I have taken this adverse or favorable and why I am taking the days into consideration for calculating capacity variance. So I'm writing the explanation for better understanding. So see, we have the capacity to work for how many hours? See, my budgeted hours are 30,000 in 25 days. So in 26 days, how much is my capacity? So we have the capacity to work for 31,200 hours in 26 days. However, we worked for 33,000 hours in 26 days. So in these 26 days, we worked for 33,000 hours, even though we have the capacity to work for 31,200 hours only. So that is we worked above our capacity by 33,000 minus 31,200, that is by 1,800 hours. So that's why this variance will be favorable. 1,800 hours into, we will be taking the rate per hour, that is 45,000 divided by 30,000, that is 1.5 per hour. So this will be 2,700 favorable. So we have the capacity to work for 31,000 hours in 26 days. However, we worked for 33,000 hours in 26 days. That is, we worked above our capacity. हमारी capacity 31,200 hours की थी, but हमने काम कितने घंटे किया? 33,000 hours. That is 1,800 hours extra we worked. So it is a good sign for the company. So that's why this variance will be favorable. If you guys have any doubts in capacity variance, you guys can please post your queries. Anyone having any doubts? Kiran, Sayanto, Mr. Marlu, Santosh, anyone having any doubts or queries, can please post your queries. Preeti, any doubts? Mr. Unnikrishnan, Sweetie, Sushil, Mr. Sahu, Mr. Vijay Raghavan, Kiran Shukla, Komal, Mr. Mohammed, Kushi, any doubts, guys? So guys, I have written the language also कि आपको क्या समझना है, what you are, what are the concept behind this favorable and adverse. So I repeat again, guys, when talking about capacity variance, see, we can directly say that 30,000 hours काम करना चाहिए था, 33 काम किया. But the point is herein, the days are not same. So we have to make it comparable first. So very simple, guys, we have the capacity to work for 31,200 hours in 26 days. However, we work for 33,000 hours in these 26 days. That is 1,800 hours extra we worked in these 26 days. So it's a good sign for the company. So that's why this variance is favorable. This is the key. See, this part is the key that variance favorable होगा या adverse होगा. Most of the students जो है गलती यही करते हैं, they write it as adverse because see, sir 31,200 hours काम करना चाहिए था, 33 काम किया, 1,800 hours ज्यादा काम किया. So it's a bad thing for the company. So that's why it will be adverse. It's not like that. Think individually. We are not talking about efficiency or inefficiency. I'll be taking this part separately. But when talking about straight away the capacity, we worked above our capacity. So that's why this variance will be favorable. Mr. Unikrishnan, see, when talking about calendar variance, we were supposed to work for 25 days, but we worked for 26 days. 1 day extra we worked into the rate per day. How come I got this rate per day? 1,800, that is 45,000 divided by 25 days. So we will get the rate per day, that is 1,800. So this is how I got 1,800 favorable. Any doubts, Mr. Unikrishnan? Now the last part is fixed overhead efficiency variance. When talking about efficiency variance, very simple, very basic, that कितने घंटे में काम हो जाना चाहिए था और कितने घंटे हमने लगाए. The very basic concept of efficiency variance. So herein, the work was supposed to be completed in how many hours? Let's calculate first. See, 30,000 units, we should take not more than 30,000 hours. 30,000 units, we should not take more than 30,000 hours. It means my actual production is 32,500 units. It means the work should be completed in 32,500 hours. But for these 32,500 units, how many hours we actually worked? 33,000 hours. It means ये जो 32,500 units हमने बनाए, they were supposed to be completed in 32,500 hours only. But when talking about the actual hours, we actually work for 33,000 hours. So 500 hours is what my inefficiency. जो काम 32,500 hours में हो जाना चाहिए था, वही काम के लिए हमने कितने hours लगा दिए? 33,000 hours. So 500 hours is what my inefficiency. 500 hours is what? Inefficiency. Into the rate per hour, that is 45,000 divided by 30,000, that is. So this will be adverse 7. So very simple, guys. Let's summarize what we have discussed till now. Fixed overhead cost variance, it talks about the under or over absorption of overhead. Simple और आसान भाषा में 45,000 खर्च हुआ 30,000 यूनिट्स पे. So 32,500 पे कितना खर्च होना चाहिए था? 48,750. but how much we actually spent? 50,000. So 1250 adverse. Fixed overhead expenditure variance, very simple. 45,000 minus 50,000, because fixed overheads remain constant at all the level of production. So straight away we can calculate fixed overhead expenditure variance. When talking about volume variance, it talks about units. So how many units we were supposed to manufacture? 30,000. But we actually manufactured 32,500 units. 2,500 units extra we manufactured into the rate per unit, that is 1.5 per unit. How come 1.5? 40,000 divided by 30,000 units. So this is 3750 favorable. Why favorable? Because हमने extra units manufacture किए. Now when talking about the calendar variance, very simple. The company advised that you have to work for 25 days, but we worked for 26 days in a month. 1 day extra we worked. So it's a good sign for the company. So 1 day into the rate per day, that is 45,000 divided by 25, will get 1800 per day rate. So this is how I got 1800 favorable. Again, this favorable is the key. When talking about the capacity variance, very simple, guys. We have the capacity to work for 31,200 hours in 26 days. How come 31,200? I have mentioned this in explanation. But in these 26 days, we work for 33,000 hours. 1,800 hours extra we work. That is much more than our capacity. So it's a good sign for the company. So 1,800 hours into the rate per hour, that is 1.5, we will get 2,700 favorable. When talking about efficiency or inefficiency, काम कितने hours में हो जाना चाहिए था और कितने hours हमने लगाए. So 30,000 units, 30,000 hours. It means one unit should take not more than 1 hour. My actual production is 32,500 units. It means the work is supposed to be completed in 32,500 hours only. But to manufacture this 32,500 units, we actually took 33,000 hours. 500 hours is my inefficiency. So how to deal with this inefficiency? Very simple. 500 hours into the rate per hour, that is 1.5, we will get 750 adverse. So this is all what about explanation of fixed overheads. If you have any doubts, you guys can please post your query, giving you 5 minutes time to copy and post your queries. Any conceptual queries, you guys can please post. Yes, Sweetie and Unni Krishnan, Mr. Sushil, Kiran Shukla, anyone having any doubts? Mr. Vijay Raghavan, any doubts? Komal Prajapati. Waiting for your queries, guys. No need to write PT. It's just for your reference and understanding. ऐसा नहीं हो कि एग्जाम के टाइम आप रिवाइज करने जाएं and you are confused that it is adverse or favorable. So no need to write explanation. You can simply write the solution. That's it. It is more than sufficient. Preeti. The explanation is the key, guys. So I request you guys to please copy this explanation. It's up to you. Both the approaches are correct. You can solve it in this way also, or you can solve it directly in a tabular form also. Both the approaches are correct, Preeti. So now let's proceed further. Now let's take a situation wherein idle hours are also given. Let's say 200 idle hours are given. Now the how to deal with these idle hours, that is the question. I repeat again, let's take a situation wherein idle hours are also given in the question, that is 200 hours. Idle hours are also given in the question, that is 200 hours. Now how to deal with this idle hours? So again, when talking about cost variance, there will be no change. When talking about expenditure variance, there will be no change. When talking about volume variance also, there will be no change. Further, calendar variance, no change. Capacity variance also no change. Sorry. So, if idle hours are given, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 variants will remain unaffected. So, herein there will be a change in efficiency variance, and we will add one more variance, that is idle time variance. So we will add one more variance, that is idle time variance. That is of 200 hours into the rate per hour, that is 1.5 per hour. We'll get 300 adverse. Very simple, guys. We will, if the idle hours are given in the question, we'll calculate idle time variance, wherein the it is for 200 hours. So 200 hours into the rate per hour is 45,000 divided by 30,000, 1.5 per hour. So we will get idle time variance as 300 adverse. Now, when talking about efficiency variance, as I told you that the work was supposed to be completed in 32,500 hours, but we took 33,000 hours. That is 500 hours extra we took. Of this 500 hours, 200 are my idle hours. So we are left out with how many hours? 300 hours only. I repeat again, as I've discussed in the previous calculation, that the work was, see, 1 unit should take not more than 1 hour. So actually we manufactured 32,500 units. So we should take not more than 32,500 hours. But to manufacture these 32,500 units, we actually took 33,000 hours. So 500 hours extra we took. In the previous case, 500 hours was our inefficiency. But now in this case, the idle hours are given. So out of these 500 hours, 200 hours are my idle hours and 300 hours are my inefficiency. So 300 hours into the rate per hour, that is 1.5 per hour, will get 450 hours. So idle hours आने से क्या हो गया, efficiency जो हमने calculate की वो 2 parts में हो जाएगी. 200 hours will be my idle time and 300 hours will be my inefficiency. So I request you guys to please copy this explanation. So if idle hours are given, बाकी किसी में कुछ भी change नहीं होगा, this part will change. No, sweetie, idle hours will not affect, will not affect this capacity variance. I request you guys to copy this explanation. Now let's take one more situation wherein, let's say, the number of days are not given in the question. This is the question wherein hours are given, units are given, and fixed overheads are given. Now, how to deal with this situation? Hours are given, units are given, and fixed overheads are given. So, how to deal with this situation? So, very simple, guys. The cost variance will remain unchanged. There will be no change in cost variance. Further, again, expenditure and volume variance will also remain unchanged. There will be no change in the way, there will be no change in the solution, even if the days are not given. But yes, the first point is that no calendar variance will be calculated. Since the number of days are not given, so there is no calendar variance. We will assume that the days are same. That is, the budgeted days and actual days are same. So no calendar variance will be calculated. Further, when talking about the capacity variance, We can directly calculate the capacity. That is, we have the capacity to work for 30,000 hours. However, we actually worked for 33,000 hours. That is 3,000 hours above my capacity, over and above my capacity, into the rate per hour, that is 45,000 divided by 30,000, that is 1.5 per hour, will get 4,500 Swiss. So this is how the capacity variance will be calculated. We can calculate it straight away. No need to consider the days, as the days are not given. So very simple. We have the capacity to work for 30,000 hours. We actually work for 33,000 hours. 3,000 hours extra we work, that is over and above my capacity. So that's why it will be favorable. Now there will be no change in efficiency variance. 30,000 units, 30,000 hours. 1 unit, 1 hour. So the work was supposed to be completed in 32,500 hours only. But we actually took 33,000 hours. So 500 hours is my inefficiency into the rate per hour, that is 1.5 per hour, will get 750 adverse. So here in the total tallies, that is, see, earlier it was calendar plus capacity plus efficiency was volume. But now since calendar variance we can't calculate, so capacity plus efficiency will be volume, volume plus expenditure will be cost. So I request you guys to please copy this explanation. If you guys have any doubts, you can please post your queries. Anyone having any doubts or queries, can please post your queries. I request you guys to copy this explanation. If the hours, if the days are not given, how to calculate capacity variance. Now let's take one more situation wherein, let's say, the days are hours are not given, but the days are given. Let's take one more situation wherein no information is given as regards the number of hours. However, information is given as regards the number of days. So herein, since the days are given, we can directly calculate the fixed overhead calendar variance. That is, That is directly 1 day extra we worked into the rate per day, that is 1800 per day. So this will be 1800 favorable. Now, since no information is given as regards the number of hours, so we will not calculate capacity. We can't calculate, in fact, the capacity variance. Very important part is the fixed overhead efficiency variance. So here in earlier, what we used to do is efficiency variance we used to calculate using the hours. But herein no information is given as regards the number of hours. So we will be calculating efficiency variance using the number of days. So very simple, guys. 30,000 units we were supposed to manufacture in 25 days. So in 26 days, how many units we were supposed to manufacture? Very simple, 31,200 units. So in short, what it is saying that in 26 days, we should manufacture 31,200 units only. I repeat again, in 26 days, we should manufacture 31,200 units. However, in these 26 days, we manufactured 32,500 units. It means what? We worked efficiently. We worked better. We worked efficiently. So here in these 26 days, how many units we manufactured? 32,500 units. So how many units extra? 1,300 units is my efficiency, not inefficiency. Efficiency. Into the rate per unit, that is 45,000 divided by 30,000, that is 1.5 per unit. So it will be 1950 Again, 1800 favorable plus 1950 favorable, we will get 3750 favorable. If you guys have any doubts, you can please post your queries. I'm done with the explanation of fixed overhead variances, wherein I discussed few situations. That is first the basic question, wherein everything is given. Second, if idle hours are given, then how to deal with idle hours. The third situation, what I discussed is that what if in case the days are not given, then we will not calculate calendar variance. Further, there will be a change in capacity variance also. The last situation wherein we discussed that if the hours are not given, how to calculate efficiency variance. Further, capacity variance will not be calculated. So we are done with I'm done with the explanation of fixed overhead variance. Whatever the doubts you have, you can please post your queries. I request you guys to please copy the explanation. This part is the key. If the hours are not given, how to calculate efficiency variance. Yes, Mr. Mallu, Mr. Santosh, Sayanto. Kiran Bala, any doubts? I hope you are thorough with the concept, Kiran. Sweetie, any doubts? Uni Krishnan, Sushil Kumar. Komal, Mr. Raghavan. Anyone else having any doubts? When talking about the verification, we can say fixed overhead expenditure plus volume will be cost. Fixed overhead expenditure variance plus volume variance will be my cost. Further, calendar variance, capacity variance, and efficiency variance will be my volume variance. I repeat again, volume fixed overhead volume variance will be equal to fixed overhead calendar variance plus fixed overhead capacity variance plus fixed overhead efficiency variance. Not required. If the time permits, you can, but it is just for calculation and just to check your calculation that whether you have calculated the variance correctly or not. So no need to simply calculate the variance. That's it, Preeti. So this is all what about fixed overhead variances. Sweetie, hopefully you are thorough with the concepts. Yes, sweetie. Now let's proceed further with the last part of the chapter, that is variable overhead. It's one of the easiest part of the chapter. The hard work is all over. We are done with fixed overhead. Now variable overhead is more or less like fixed overhead with few changes. So herein, again, the data will always be given in this format, budget and actual. However, if it is not given, if it is given in a paragraph, also try to convert it in budget and actual, this tabular way. Now, three informations are required to calculate variable overhead variance. First one is unit, second one is hours, and third one is variable overheads. When talking about units, let's say units are given the same 30,000 and 32,500. Hours are given 30,000 and 33,000. And variable overheads are given 60,000 and 70,000. So this much data is required. Even if the days are given, you have to ignore. No use of days in variable overheads. So similar to fixed overhead, again, variable overheads also, it will be same variable overhead cost variance. That is 60,000 are the overheads for 30,000 units. So for 32,500 units, how much of the overheads? 65,000. And the overheads we actually incurred is 70,000. So 5,000 extra. So it is adverse. So the calculation is same, just like fixed overhead, wherein 60,000 overheads for 30,000 units. So for 32,500 units, how much? 65,000. The amount we actually incurred is 70,000. So it's 5,000 adverse. Now next is variable overhead expenditure variance. Now fixed overhead में तो हमने सीधा कर दिया था कि budgeted fixed overhead minus actual fixed overhead, because fixed overhead remain constant at all the level of production. But variable overhead, when talking about variable overhead, it keeps on changing. So herein, we have to give the effect of hours also, that is 60,000 overheads, 30,000 hours. So for 33,000 hours, how much should be my overheads? 66,000. However, my actual overheads are 70,000. It means it is 4,000 adverse. So when talking about fixed overhead, we can calculate it directly. But yes, variable overhead, we have to give the effect of hours. So herein, this is how the variable overhead expenditure variance will be calculated. Now the last is efficiency variance. It is similar to fixed overhead, that is variable overhead efficiency variance, wherein 30,000 hours, 30,000 units. So one unit should take not more than 1 hour. So 30,000 units, 30,000 hours. It means one unit should not take more than 1 hour. My actual production is 32,500 units. It means it should be completed in 32,500 hours. But to manufacture these 32,500 units, we actually took 33,000 hours. So it means 500 hours is what? My inefficiency. Into the rate per hour, that is 60,000 divided by 30,000. Since it is hours, so we'll take the rate per hour, that is rupees 2 per hour. That is 60,000 divided by 30,000. How come 2 per hour? 60,000 rupees divided by 30,000 hours. So this will be 1,000 adverse. Again, 4,000 adverse plus 1,000 adverse, we will get 5,000 adverse. So this is all about variable overhead variance. If you have any doubts or queries, you guys can please post your query. एडविन सर सबको अनम्यूट कर दीजिए, चलेगा? ऑलरेडी कर दिया ना, चलेगा? So if you guys have any queries in this variable overhead variance, you guys can please post your queries, giving you 3 to 4 minutes time to copy the explanation. So please copy and post your queries. Let me check, sweetie.
Sir, all is clear very well. There is no doubt.
Thank you so much. I hope you are thorough with the concept, Santosh.
Okay, sir. Concept is clear.
Great.
For labor variance, which is not clear to me, I will discuss about your past videos.
I'm not getting what you are Santosh, what you are saying, Santosh Sahu. Can you be please more
I'm
clear?
saying that the labor variances is not clear to me, for which you suggest me.
Yes, you can refer the session once again. You will be thorough with the concepts.
I have to refer your past video.
Yeah.
To clear the concept.
Yes, Mr. Santosh.
Sir, thank you. Thank you once again, sir.
Yeah, welcome. Sweetie, I have discussed this same question in one of my previous sessions. So you can just check it over YouTube. This question, the same question is discussed in one of my previous batches. I think I've taken more than 4 to 5 batches. Since 2020, I'm taking lectures on standard costing. So it's like approx there are 8 sessions I have taken on standard costing for ICAI. So you can check in one of the sessions I have discussed this question because it's a bit lengthy. So right now it's like already 9:20. So I'm open to the general and conceptual queries. But yes, the same question I have already discussed in one of the previous session. So, I think you need the solution the way I do solve the question. So do refer one of my previous session, you'll find the solution in the same way where I'm solving these questions. Anyone else having any doubts or queries? I'm done with the explanation part. Yes, Preeti, Sayanto Sen, Mallu Jadar.
No, sir, all clear.
Great. Kiran Bala.
No, sir, no any doubt.
No doubts. Great. Ms. Kiran Bala.
All clear, sir.
Great, Sayanto. Fine. So, guys, again, a request from my side. No need to memorize the formulas. आप formula apply करके basic question solve कर पाएंगे. But yes, if the question is on the trickier side, you won't be able to solve the question by simply applying formulas. So I request you guys to focus on concepts rather than memorizing the formula. Try to solve all the question in writing using the concept. See, I understand that for the first or second time for 1 or 2 questions, you will find it difficult. But yes, after solving 3 to 4 questions, you will start loving the process that yes, it is much more easier as compared to memorizing the formulas. So better it is, try to memorize the concept. Initially, आपको problem आएगा. I'm not saying that आपको problem नहीं आएगा. Initially, you will face lots of problems that sir, why this, why that. Again, do listen to my lectures, recorded lectures, and try to solve 1, 2, 3, 4 questions using concept. After solving 3 to 4 questions, I assure you, you will be the master of these variances. So again, try to solve as many as possible questions in writing. There are, sufficient questions are given in study material and past practice manual. Further, you can refer MTPs and RTPs for additional question. But yes, the content that is given in study material is more than sufficient as far as standard costing is concerned. So, anyone else? Because I'm done with the explanation. It's 9:20. Still, I have 10 more minutes. So, those who have any conceptual queries or doubts can please post.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning, Kiran.
Sir, what about my RTP question?
RTP का कौन सा क्वेश्चन है आपका?
Question 10, sir.
Of RTP?
24, May 24, sir.
I need to check 1 second.
As such, so I can make do the calculation, but जैसे हमारा format बना है ना, वो format उस question में कैसे बैठेगा?
वो format का आपको issue आ रहा है, right?
हाँ, मतलब how to make that format, जैसे इससे बहुत clear हो जाता है ना?
Let
इस
me check,
format
my
में तो
dear.
clear हो जाता है.
कौन सा क्वेश्चन बोल रहे हैं आप?
क्वेश्चन नंबर 10 सर, सर्विस स्टैंडर्ड कॉस्टिंग का ही है। क्वेश्चन नंबर
Let
10
me read the question once. 1 second. Just give me a minute. I need to read this question, and plus, what I'll do is, Kiran, if the time you can write a mail to ICAI, ICAI will forward me the mail. I can't share my email to you, so you write a mail to ICAI about the solution of this question, and you can address that. You can write that, okay sir, kindly forward this mail to Vipin sir. So what I'll do is I'll just write the solution and will send you separately. Don't worry. Is it fine?
नेक्स्ट सेक्शन में भी लिख सकते हैं ना सर, नेक्स्ट सेक्शन में भी बता सकते हैं।
Next session यार marginal costing का है, and there are 2 sessions and it's a lengthy chapter.
ओके सर, आई विल राइट।
या आप ICAI को मेल लिख दीजिए. I'll get that mail, so I will write the solution and will email you. Don't worry.
ओके सर,
It's a very good question and it's bit on the trickier side. So don't worry. I'll just check out and will surely send you the solution the way the way I do solve. So don't worry. Anything
Sir,
else?
can you also please upload in on portal
क्या कह
solution
रहे हैं?
of this? Can you please upload solution of this question on portal so that we can
Okay,
also?
I'll try to.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sweetie, yes. I think mostly on. Mostly I'll be conducting session on service costing. Don't worry. Either Sunday or I'll check with ICAI when can I conduct the session. So don't worry. Rest all everything is clear, Sweetie and Unni Krishnan.
सैटरडे संडे तो एसएम की क्लास होती है मॉर्निंग में।
I think I have a session tomorrow. I need to check. I have a session tomorrow also. Let me check.
इवनिंग में होगा सर।
1 second. So today is 5th July. Okay, so my session is now on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. That's it. Okay, fine. If the time permits, I'll just request ICAI to keep a session specifically for service costing. Don't worry, you guys will be updated. Don't worry. Anything else, Kiran?
No sir, thank you sir. I will write a mail to ICAI.
Yeah, you can write a mail to ICAI about that question. Rest, I think Monday and Tuesday are my session. So if Wednesday is empty or Thursday is empty, I'll try to keep a session on service costing also.
हाँ सर, वेडनेसडे थर्सडे तो हमारा फ्री है मॉर्निंग।
Okay, no worries. I'll just check out with ICAI and accordingly I'll schedule the session.
Sir, at what email address should I write?
You can check it over web. That if you are using that portal now, you can check.
Yes,
I think
sir.
the email is mentioned over there.
Okay. Okay. Sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Sir.
So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for your time and patience. Today is Friday, so I think my next session is on Monday now. So enjoy your weekend. Try to solve all the questions of standard costing and the chapters what I have discussed in the previous sessions. If you have any doubts, any conceptual query, I try to resolve it because I'll be needing 2 sessions completely for marginal costing. So I request you guys in these 2 days, try to solve all the questions of standard costing and process and joint by product. Service costing I'll be taking. Don't worry, guys. So thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend. Take care. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a nice day, sir.
You too, guys. Yes.